Do you know mermaids are actually biblical? I will explain what one of the most important missing books from the Bible says about mermaids and why. Throughout history, there have been countless sightings of what is believed to be a mythical creature known as the mermaid. These creatures have been documented in several ancient cultures, with each culture labeling the beings with different names. However, they all possess the same overt appearance. So we must begin asking ourselves, how real are these creatures actually? And when we do, we can find the answer. Because there is a secret missing book that is a part of the Bible that speaks about mermaids and who they actually are. Let me explain. Over 2,000 years ago, biblical scrolls were found in a cave in Qumran. These scrolls are known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. They contain biblical texts we know today, including the Book of Genesis and the Book of Isaiah. But there was one book that was completely hidden from the Bible for decades. This book is known as the Book of Enoch. This book expands on topics that the Holy Bible does not go into depth with, such as biblical creatures, even creatures such as mermaids, which I'll be talking about in this video. Also, Enoch himself is Noah's great-grandfather, so this book is a huge part of the Bible, and yet, the Bible is actually missing this book. The Book of Enoch answers the questions we all have regarding several subjects in the Holy Bible. And although, as a Christian, your mind may be fixated on the current books of the Bible being the only truth, understand this. The Book of Enoch was found alongside the same books in the current Bible. Those in power decided to remove it from the Bible, but that does not mean the Book of Enoch is any less credible. In fact, it may be more than we initially thought. Now let's take a look at what the Book of Enoch has to say about mermaids. The Book of Enoch mentions a group of mysterious beings, and these beings are what led to the creation of what we now call mermaids. The story starts with a group of angels known as the Watchers. These angels came to earth and mated with human women, and this unholy union resulted in the biblical giants we know about in the Book of Genesis. Check out my full video explaining the Watchers here if you're interested. However, the Watchers, the Nephilim, and the women who mated with the Watchers all paid a price for this unholy union. The Watchers were bound in a place known as Tartarus. The Nephilim were destroyed in a great flood, and the women who mated with the Watchers, they were cursed to become mermaids. 1 Enoch 19:2 says, "The women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens." The word sirens can be translated into two different creatures. First, we have the Greek siren, a half-bird, half-human creature. Siren can also be translated as mermaids. However, over time, the word siren has become a title to describe a particular type of mermaid, one that sings a hypnotic song that lures men off their ships to their watery demise. There is even a TV show called Siren that is about mermaids. Originally, mermaids were human women, and this is why in several films, mermaids can be seen transforming into humans. It is because that is their original form, although they cannot turn back into humans, since they are cursed, and they are not anywhere near as beautiful as they are portrayed. According to first-hand accounts with these creatures, when we dive deeper into the Bible, we can see that this verse is referring to mermaids. The Bible even mentions how, in the new earth, there won't be any oceans, meaning God views the oceans as something unholy, perhaps because they are the dwelling place of demonic marine spirits, better known as mermaids inhabit the oceans. Revelation 21:1 says, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea." Now that we know these creatures are biblical, it becomes obvious that these aquatic humanoid beings survived the Great Flood. Their natural habitat is water, so that would explain why there are still so many sightings to this day. First-hand accounts describe these creatures as demonic. Many people who encounter them say they are evil in nature because they lure people off their boats into the middle of the ocean. However, they apparently don't only inhabit the oceans. They also inhabit other bodies of water as well, such as lakes and rivers. Mermaids are also known as marine spirits, and they have been documented for thousands of years. There is even an ancient Egyptian painting that illustrates a war between humans and mermaids. These creatures are described as having a frightening appearance and possessing supernatural abilities. particularly hypnotism with their voices and telepathy, which is the ability to communicate mentally without speaking. Most of the time, they are described as having all black eyes, razor-sharp teeth, gills in their face, and webbed fingers. These creatures spark the folklore surrounding swamp monsters. Now, let's take a look at some of my favorite first-hand accounts regarding these beings. There is a testimony that I find quite intriguing about a woman who, unfortunately, I don't have the name of. She encountered a mermaid, and she said it communicated with her telepathically and said something frightening. A woman was swimming in a lake while her family was off in the distance, cooking at a family event they were throwing. The woman said she got onto a rock near where she was swimming, and in her own words, everything went silent. Her family, the birds, the wind, everything went completely silent. And then she saw a mermaid with all black, almond-shaped eyes emerge from the water, and it telepathically told her, "I can make you jump into the water." She said she began to get frightened, and then the mermaid looked dissatisfied before it swam away, vanishing into the depths. This is a very frightening encounter, considering the abundant amount of testimonies that tell a similar story. Stories about these creatures making people jump into the depths, and for them, never to be seen again. Other cultures believe that if you see a mermaid, you will become rich. And there are places where people are believed to be literally taken by these creatures. My final take: if these creatures have been documented for thousands of years, up until now, by several cultures worldwide, there is no way that this is just some myth. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever encountered a mermaid? I would love to hear your stories. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos just like this, check out my Book of Enoch playlist right here.